Hello fellow YouTubers, and especially my fellow Queenslanders. I thought I'd share with you several other amazing moments that you need to appreciate. On the 22nd of December 2017, a lawyer friend of mine suggested I obtain the court file, which was the reason I made the effort. His suggestion was that he would seek advice from a very famous anti-establishment silk on a possible appeal to the Court of Appeal based on functus officio. As the law is clear, an administrator cannot overturn his own decision. I moved mountains at the time to secure that file when you understand we were living in absolute poverty. The Illuminati have no concept of their consequences of their actions over ordinary working people. I delivered an electronic file to my lawyer, which is the file that is available on whentheftislegal.org for your appraisal. I did what was asked. Then everything seemed to come to a screeching halt. I waited and waited, having endless patience and understanding that beggars cannot be choosers. I waited some more. Eventually, nearly a year passed when I was invited to the Silk's office. I waited in the reception area when my lawyer friend arrived. He greeted me with a hug, which I thought was odd. Then suddenly the Silk appeared and suggested we discuss the matter at the establishment's outdoor restaurant. There were 4 of us at that meeting: the Silk, his personal assistant, my friend and myself. Being a Silk, it is important to understand he had the same qualification as a Supreme Court Justice. He was very relaxed, wood-framed glasses, and then lit a cigarette. We were seated when the Silk addressed me. Looking over his glasses, he said like this. He said, "Randolph, your avenues of appeal have been exhausted." I thought to myself, what a waste of time. In that very next breath, he stated, "Peter Lyons wears his integrity on his sleeve, but he is a crook. Do yourself a favour and get on with the rest of your life." Can you believe it? I was in complete shock. I said, "Why can't we go to the media?" The Silk rolled his eyes. It was fine for him to say that, as he didn't have to suffer the consequences. It wasn't his life. I was dumbfounded, gobsmacked. This is after 13 years of suffering, losing everything, destroying our family and being black-banned out of the construction industry for life by the Queensland government for a crime committed by Justice Peter Lyons, his cronies and Lexon Insurance. Other things were said, but I will refrain from making those public, other to say that the suggestion we live in an egalitarian society is laughable. To my astonishment, I found a photograph of that same Silk wearing his timber-rimmed reading glasses, sitting at a conference table alongside Premier Annastacia Palaszczuk just several weeks later as a news feature on the web. You know the saying, birds of a feather stick together. Last September 2022, another human rights expert lawyer looked me straight in the eye and stated, "Randolph, the legal system failed you." I thought Queensland's police commissioner would be interested in studying the evidence. After all, her internet profile brags about her ethics degree from Harvard. I soon learned she had obviously laboriously studied her degree, but did not know right from wrong. I wrote her office 3 times via email over a period of a month and never received a reply. After my 3rd letter, I received a no-caller ID phone call from a man claiming to be a detective from the Indooroopilly CIB. He was very polite, but suggested that I contact the Queensland Ombudsman or the Queensland Attorney General. It was clear the police commissioner had communicated my plight to her subordinates, explaining she wasn't prepared to help, and by omission insinuated that Justice Peter Lyons and his cronies were above the law. Both of these avenues suggested had been exhausted many times over. What I found astounding was that the Queensland government and their many departments consistently refused to respond in writing. It reflects every movie ever made in Hollywood. the procedures employed by detectives when they interview suspects wanting to extract a confession without his lawyer present. They will read you your Miranda rights. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. By refusing to communicate, the onus of proof from the detective's point of view is far more challenging. Why hang yourself if you're the ultimate power? It is the reason why the Queensland Government will not acknowledge my complaint. They simply refuse. I have several old friends that have supported me through thick and thin. One man, Ernie, is a wonderful man. Just having a little support makes a huge difference. Roadblock after roadblock, he would come up with new suggestions. When suddenly, last November 2022, he suggested I contact the Queensland Civil Liberties Council. What a great idea, as I had tried everyone else. Later that same day, at approximately 4 p.m, I rang the phone number advertised on the web. The president answered and immediately stated they don't provide legal advice. I explained that I had been swindled in both the Supreme Court and the Court of Appeal. He mumbled a little bit further and said, well, email it through. Approximately 5 p.m. that same day, I emailed the evidence with a comprehensive explanation along with the complete court file. Typically, you wait for months for a response. To my complete surprise, I received a response 3.5 hours later. Here, I'll read it for you. To Randolph Workers, the Queensland Council for Civil Liberties, Monday the 21st of November 2022, 8:45 p.m. Dear Sir, thank you for your email. Your complaint seems to be related to what you see as the failure to enforce Justice Lyon's first judgment. However, having read his two judgments and that of the Court of Appeal, we are of the view that your concern is unwarranted. The first hearing before the judge was an application by the defendant for summary judgment. The judge refused the application for summary judgment. That decision did not finally decide the case in your favour. It simply decided that you had a legal basis for proceeding. The defendant then brought a second application for summary judgment. The judge's decision on the previous application was final. However, in certain circumstances, a party could bring a second summary judgment application because they had brought a previous application for summary judgment. The other party had to convince the judge to give them leave to do so. The judge found that they had a basis for doing so, and in that factual situation was different from the alleged previously. On the basis of the new facts, the court found in their favour and dismissed your case. The Court of Appeal then upheld Justice Lyon's decision. In our view, what happened was in accordance with legal principle. We can see nothing wrong or untoward in the conduct of Justice Lyons or the Court of Appeal. Thank you for your inquiry. Can you believe it? How absurd is that? He conveniently used the term seems to be and ignores the fact that there were 3 judgments, of which one was never entered into the court file. Nothing to see here. Go away, you peasant. How dare you question the Illuminati? What client of any law firm in this situation would ever come to a conclusion that your own lawyers were colluding with the justice and the lawyers acting for the other side? An insurance company. Go on, I ask you. The legal profession treat the public like shooting fish in a barrel. You can't escape, and you have to accept the outcome. It is so authoritarian. My response explained that it was obvious he never read the material emailed to him. Can you imagine being a curious journalist? This response was obviously written by a wordsmith. What journalist would have the courage to challenge the president of the Queensland Civil Liberties Council? Go on. To my surprise, I did receive another email several days later. Dear Sir, you complain about the Lion's judgment, but ignore the fact it was upheld on appeal unanimously. If you were dissatisfied with that, you could have sought leave to appeal to the High Court. As I have said, the Queensland Civil Liberties Council doesn't provide legal advice or representation. So far as I am concerned, that is what you are asking for. We cannot take this matter any further. This was a comical response, as it proves the President did not read the information he received, and my conclusion is that you don't have any civil liberties if you're swindled by a Supreme Court Justice or Lexon Insurance, and there is no one to complain to. When you understand the swindle or their cunning, you realise we never had to appear before the Court of Appeal or the High Court of Australia. It is very important. Please sign the petition at our website whentheftislegal.org via the link to change.org seeking a Royal Commission into the Judiciary in Queensland. I am asking for a genuine inquiry that is not predetermined. So to expose the Queen of Cover-Up, our Premier Annastacia Palaszczuk and her cronies within the Judiciary that have robbed Queenslanders of their civil liberties. These same blinkered totalitarian ideas are being imposed on democracies around the world, especially those living within the Anglosphere and the British Commonwealth. I am certain this type of cronyism is ripe in most jurisdictions, but impossible to prove, and by then most are either totally exhausted or bankrupt. Please remember to like and subscribe to every video, and if so inclined, please leave a donation to help fund this venture, as I need your help. See you again soon, and always remember, she'll be right, mate. Never fear, Randolph is here. See you in a while, crocodile. Cheers.